Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
Metaverse.
It's Metaverse.
Metaverse. The Metaverse.
What actually is the Metaverse?
Well, it's where we'll all be living soon. Ridiculous, I know, living in some meta thing. But 10 years ago, you could say the same about messengers, and 20 years ago about social media. And if you go back 30 years, well, there was no web to speak of at all. But today, they're part of our everyday lives. So it's only logical that in 10 years there'll be something new and we won't be able to imagine our lives without it. So what's it going to be like, this metaverse? The three most popular answers are The Matrix, Ready Player One, and Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash. They're all pretty similar. There's a virtual world that's more alluring to people than the real one.
This is the Oasis. A whole virtual universe.
Right now, we're inside a computer program.
Is it really so hard to believe?
So the idea isn't new. It's been explored in 92 and 99 and 2011, but in 2022, all of a sudden, it's everywhere. Zuckerberg's renaming Facebook to Meta, Microsoft's still Microsoft, but they also want a metaverse. NVIDIA's inviting developers to build virtual worlds on their graphics engines. How are they going to tempt us into buying in? And what are they going to do with us there? Let's start with this. This is a gameplay video of a popular kids game, Roblox. What exactly is happening? Well, it's a virtual birthday party with a birthday table, a cake, presents, and even dancing. And this is a teacher in the US giving a geometry class in Half-Life, or a British journalist creating a virtual bar to party with his friends during a lockdown. These are all real examples of why we need the metaverse, to bring together people from all over the world in one virtual hub. After all, when we're Zooming or messaging, we're still actually apart. But with this, you just put on a VR headset and get not a whole lot for now. Is that birthday better than a real thing? Or is the class more interesting? Or is the party more fun? No, of course not. But don't mistake VR for the metaverse. It's just one of the technologies involved. The metaverse is going to be made up of lots of different techs that will replace the current mobile internet. And to understand how this is going to happen, we need to understand what we have today. Our primary device is our smartphone, but it only works when we have internet connection and when there's lots of useful apps on it. And they're there because they make sense and money. How do we get here? Many would of course say it was the 2007 iPhone, but that's not it. Yes, the first iPhone had an okay mobile browser, but remember, most of the web wasn't optimized for such small screens, and it didn't even have an app store. The app store would appear a year later, and mobile internet would only start gaining traction after the launch of the iPhone 3G. But more importantly, it was only after Uber, Get, Instagram, and other apps became available that the idea of a pocketable all-purpose computer started to really take off. And again, as with the metaverse, the idea of a pocketable computer isn't new. In 1975, Arthur Clarke wrote his Imperial Earth, where he described a portable computer called the Minisec, short for Mini Secretary. The Minisec was the standard size of all such units, determined by what could fit comfortably in the normal human hand. It was, however, infinitely versatile. Sounds like Jobs was inspired by Clarke, doesn't it? Not exactly. Even before the iPhone, there was a team, some of them from Apple, who had a vision for a smartphone. It was General Magic.
There were no digital cell phones. There was no World Wide Web. We're going to create what comes after the personal computer.
But the world wasn't ready, and so the company failed. But the people behind it went on to create the iPod, Android, LinkedIn, eBay, and so on. So the iPhone became a possibility not just thanks to Jobs' genius, but because other people had perfected the technologies that went into it. Display manufacturers managed to make them durable and truly immersive. Engineers built tiny, powerful chips, and app developers created truly indispensable tools. The iPhone just brought together many of these previously separate technologies, and that's what made it truly groundbreaking. In the investment circles, there's even an expression, the iPhone moment, turning point when the technology finally becomes market-ready. So it's combined with the existing ones, and then it takes a life of its own by storm, changing the world forever. So when's the metaverse going to change our lives, and why is it still in the future? Well, let's take a closer look at Ready Player One. See the VR headsets? So easy to use and so feature-packed. And what we have today is bulky and can just about take pictures. Not at all captivating popular imagination. Let's analyze the current situation. Facebook's Oculus 2 is the most popular VR headset on the market. with a record 4.6 million units sold in the first quarter of 2021. What's not to like? That's a fact. It's 75% of all VR sales. In the same period, Apple shipped 58 million iPhones and other players, another 377 million smartphones. So, people want smartphones 62 times more than the promise of entering a non-existent metaverse. Plus, the headset's just the first step. You also need a suit and gloves. Facebook's recently showed off their gloves, and they're not very market-ready. The second question is, what are we going to be doing there? In this futureverse, most people just copy-paste Zuckerberg's talking points about the opportunities of this brave new world.
To be together with anyone, to be able to teleport anywhere.
And notice that he's repeating word for word the script of Ready Player One.
You can do anything.
And to create and experience anything, to be able to teleport anywhere.
Go anywhere.
But let's take a closer look at the classics. Look at the real world in their universes.
Sitting here in my tiny corner of nowhere, there's nowhere left to go.
People will flee to the metaverse only if the real world gets too bad. Look at Zuckerberg's videos. Cool tech, stylish, clever people, clean, bright rooms. Of course you'd want to be there, especially when you see the very different conditions billions of people have to live in. A stark contrast to the happy, bright future he's selling, with fulfilling work, happy life, fun with friends. And this has always been the case. Let's look at Zuckerberg's video and his promises about the metaverse and compare them to writings of the 18th century philosopher John Anderson about the Industrial Revolution that brought steam-powered railways and apparently a paradise on Earth for the people. Time and distance would be virtually eliminated.
To be together with anyone, to be able to teleport anywhere.
The whole country would be revitalized.
There will also be opportunities and benefits that we can't even imagine yet.
And this great boost of free trade and industry would bring universal prosperity.
Together, we can unlock a massively bigger creative economy.
Was there universal prosperity after the Industrial Revolution? Kind of. Living conditions improved, but we got a couple of world wars as a bonus. Will there be universal prosperity in the metaverse? Definitely not. Will there be a metaverse? Definitely yes. When the technologies catch up. The most fascinating question is why the tech giants became suddenly so invested in the metaverse idea. For example, 1 in 5 of Zuckerberg employees is currently involved in virtual reality and the metaverse projects. The answer was best formulated by venture capitalist Matthew Ball, who wrote about the rules for building a metaverse. 1. Metaverse will be persistent, meaning it cannot be paused like a video game. Or like in Fortnite, when a match ends, all the maps are reset and everything the players have built disappears. The metaverse will store everything. 2. Everything in the metaverse will be happening live. 3. The virtual will intersect with the physical, like the Pokemon Go game did. But it's not just about games. Microsoft is also pushing for a metaverse because they're already helping companies create digital versions of their facilities. So a real physical factory of the future will be operated through its digital copy. 4. The metaverse won't be bandwidth limited, and that's the hardest part so far, because current multiplayer sessions are limited to a few hundred players. But here, the servers will be able to handle millions, if not billions of users at once. 5. The metaverse will have its own economy. You will be able to work, sell, and invest within it. 6. It will have multi-platform support, so that something bought in Fortnite, for example, could be sold in CSGO. And finally, 7. All content will be user-generated, as is done now in Roblox or Minecraft. These last 3 are crucial points, because other people's creativity will bring trillions of dollars in profits to the corporations running the metaverses. What will be the upshot of all of this? Much of the same is depicted on this beautiful illustration from 20th century caricaturist Herluf Bidstrup. It shows how the human economy had been evolved. The feudal system. The rich man is instantly recognizable. The Industrial Revolution happens. The rich man's wealth grows, more people work for him. They look better, but they have the same amount of money. The capitalist of the next era has even more money and more workers, and they are still just as poor. And finally, in the 20th century, the capitalist in appearance is almost indistinguishable from those who work for him. But he is much, much richer than his predecessors. Let's take another look at Zuckerberg's metaverse video. He looks just like us, walking in the office with people all around him, and his avatar is going to be almost identical to many others. And it's just that his wealth is going to be measured in trillions of dollars. So when you hear all these fairy tales about how great it's going to be, just like in Spielberg's Ready Player One, take a moment to rewatch the film. You'll see the mess happening in the real world there. And most importantly, here are the film's closing sentence.
Reality is the only thing that's real.
Thank you for watching. You know what to do if you liked the video, and I will see you in the future.